In a world of whispered scandals and glittering empires, two heirs stand at the edge of destiny. Elira Devienne, elegant, powerful, untouchable. Kaien Alaric, sharp, arrogant, magnetic. Their families are enemies. Their rivalry is legendary. But fate, as always, plays its own game. A love story that starts in sparks and ends in fire. Welcome to the Velvet Story.
Chapter 1. An arrangement neither wants. The ballroom glittered like a chandelier about to explode. Diamonds danced on wrists, secrets swirled in champagne flutes, and tension buzzed beneath velvet gowns and tuxedos. It was the annual Aurum Hearts Gala, where the city's elite paraded their riches like art pieces. But tonight, there was something else in the air. Something colder, sharper, almost faded. Elira Devienne stood still amidst the movement, like a swan on black ice. Every strand of her hair was sculpted into perfection, her signature crimson silk gown falling like molten fire around her legs. Her eyes, cool, stormy, unreadable, scanned the crowd, calculating, distant. She wasn't here to be admired. She wasn't here to enjoy. She was here because her grandfather had insisted. It's time you stop avoiding the Alaric boy. The world is watching, and so is our board. She could still hear his gravelly voice echoing in her head, layered with unspoken threat. The Alaric boy was the last name she wanted to hear. The same boy, now a man, who had once humiliated her family at a university debate, then launched a campaign to outbid Devienne luxury on a Parisian flagship store just to prove a point. Kaien Alaric, heir to Alaric tech, arrogant, flashy, charming in the kind of way that tabloids drooled and Elira rolled her eyes. And now, thanks to some brilliant stroke of manipulation by their meddling grandparents, she was being paired with him for a 6-month charity collaboration titled Project Elan, a nonprofit initiative designed to mask corporate intentions behind philanthropy and photo ops. Think of it as strategic optics, her grandfather had said. Think of it as punishment, Elira had replied. And now, standing near the staircase where the Alarics were expected to make their grand entrance, she wished she'd worn armor instead of silk. Then came the sound. Not music, not clinking glasses. It was him. The crowd shifted like a tide, heads turned, cameras clicked. Kaien Alaric entered not like a guest, but like a storm in a designer suit. Midnight black tuxedo, satin lapels, hair tousled like he'd just run his fingers through it 5 minutes too late, but somehow made it work. And he was smiling. Not a polite smile, not a corporate smile, a smile meant for her. Elira's spine straightened automatically, her chin tilting just enough to display indifference. He cut through the crowd easily, as though every person stepped aside purely for his sake. Maybe they did. That was Kaien's brand. Effortless dominance. He reached her, paused, bowed slightly. Miss Devienne, you look like wrath wrapped in silk. Mr. Alaric, you look like you mistook this gala for a runway. Their eyes locked. The temperature dropped. Did you get my grandfather's message? Unfortunately, she said. Yours? Tragically. Then I suppose we're both suffering. Together, no less, he added, his smile widening. What a poetic start. They were soon summoned to the stage, together, to announce the new initiative. Kaien offered his arm. Elira took it, not out of courtesy, but because every camera in the room waited. Their joined presence caused a ripple across the ballroom. Devienne and Alaric, side by side, the very idea was gossip gold. Everyone watched, everyone speculated. They stood beneath the lights, flanked by their families. Their grandparents beamed as though they'd just orchestrated a royal engagement. Tonight, Kaien began, taking the mic with practiced ease. We introduce Project Elon, a collaboration between legacy and innovation, tradition and technology. Elira took the mic next. We hope to redefine how privilege can be redirected into purpose. Our goal is to fund arts education, expand digital access, and support design programs for underserved communities. Their voices, though different in cadence, created a strange harmony. One cold, precise, the other warm, clever. The audience applauded. The media had their headline. And Elira had a headache. Backstage, after the performance of Unity, Elira strode past Kaien towards the service hallway. He followed, of course, like a shadow with a sense of humor. "You do realize," he said, "they're going to have us fake smiling for months? Ribbon cuttings, hand-holding, maybe even matching charity t-shirts?" "I'd rather be hit by a limo," she replied, turning sharply. "This is PR torture." "Agreed," he said too quickly, "but at least you get to suffer with someone attractive. If narcissism was currency, you'd have bought out Devienne by now." "Oh, don't worry," he said, grinning. "That's next quarter's plan." She walked faster. He matched her pace easily. "I've read your bio. Harvard, top of your class, multilingual, designed your own line at 21, but no mention of your charm or lack thereof. I keep that part off record, unlike your affairs and your tan." He stopped suddenly. So did she. They were now alone in the corridor, away from the glittering crowd. The music was faint, the air heavier. Kaien's voice dropped a note lower. "Why do you hate me so much, Elira?" "Because you smile like you know things you shouldn't, because you play games I don't have time for, and because the world bends for you without ever asking why. And yet, here we are. Two heirs forced into collaboration, pretending not to want to tear each other apart." "You want honesty, Alaric?" she said, eyes flashing. "I'd rather bleed in heels than pretend we're allies." His grin faded. He stepped closer. He said quietly, "That's the difference between us. You hide your fire beneath glass. I let it burn." And with that, he walked away, leaving her standing in silence, her pulse louder than the music beyond the walls. That night, in her penthouse suite overlooking the sleeping city, Elira sat at her desk reviewing Project Elon's logistics. But her thoughts kept returning to Kaien's words. "You hide your fire beneath glass." What did he know about fire, or about her? She wasn't ice. She wasn't fragile. She just couldn't afford to be reckless. Not when every move she made was watched, judged, twisted. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. From unknown, "Smile tomorrow. We're meeting the press for Elon's first site visit. I'll bring coffee. Black, no sugar. You look like that type. .K.A." She stared at it for a moment too long, then turned off her phone, and maybe, just maybe, smiled.
Chapter 2. Velvet Gloves and Verbal Swords. It started with a smile. Not hers, of course. Elira Devienne didn't smile unless she had to, and when she did, it came with consequences. But Kaien Alaric, he smiled like he was born doing it, like every corner of his mouth was carved in charm and mischief, like he couldn't help it, even when he was setting fire to everything around him. Today was no different. Their first public event under Project Elan was a site visit at the St. Laurent Academy, a historic art school undergoing renovation thanks to the Devienne and Alaric collaboration. Journalists flooded the courtyard. Cameras perched like vultures on tripods, and sponsors hovered, hungry for photo ops. Elira arrived precisely on time. Kaien arrived exactly 3 minutes late, because of course he did. He stepped out of the company town car in a navy blue three-piece suit with a silk scarf tossed carelessly around his neck, the very picture of rakish grace. He removed his sunglasses slowly, like a performance. "Ms. Devienne," he greeted with a bow, "do you ever tire of punctuality?" "No," she replied, glancing at her watch. "Do you ever tire of narcissism?" His grin widened. But before he could reply, the swarm of press descended. Microphones, flashbulbs, questions. They posed together, by force, not choice, on the newly painted steps of the school. Her crimson coat and tailored black pants matched the clean lines of the Devienne brand. Classic, sharp, elegant. His outfit screamed calculated rebellion. Kaien wrapped a casual arm around her waist just as the cameras clicked. Elira's jaw tightened. "Remove it," she said through her teeth. "Smile," he whispered through his. "They'll print this on page 1. She did smile, but it was the kind that made interns cry and executives apologize. Click. And then he said it, right there, in front of every reporter and camera. It's truly inspiring to work alongside Ms. Devienne. I mean, she's made it clear she doesn't like children, events, or me, but somehow we're making magic. The reporters erupted in laughter. Elira's lips parted in silent fury. "A charming exaggeration," she said smoothly, stepping forward with poise. "Mr. Alaric does have a talent for fiction. It's why his press releases read like bedtime stories." More laughter. Kaien raised his brows, impressed. "War," declared with champagne smiles. Inside the Academy's art hall, they prepared for the joint press conference. Students and faculty gathered behind velvet ropes, eager to hear how this power duo planned to change the creative future. Elira adjusted her mic with practiced ease. She had spent the last decade perfecting the art of public speaking, not just because she had to, but because it was one of the few places where power became visible. Her voice was clear, commanding, effortless. At Devienne Foundation, we believe beauty isn't born from privilege, but perseverance. This collaboration ensures the tools of creation reach the hands of those who deserve them most, not just those who can afford them. The applause was genuine. Kaien stepped up next. His smile was softer now, the teasing dimmed for performance. "Technology can't replace imagination," he began, "but it can build ladders for it to climb. With Devienne's heritage and Alaric's innovation, Project Elan is about offering both brush and canvas, old soul and new mind." Elira tilted her head, skeptical but silent. Then came the Q&A. A reporter from Modern Ledger stood. "Mr. Alaric, how do you respond to critics who say Alaric Tech's art platforms exploit data under the guise of access?" Kaien looked mildly amused, but Elira could see the tightness in his jaw. "We don't exploit," he replied, calm. "We optimize. Data helps personalize tools for users, especially young creators." Elira interjected, "But personalization without transparency is still exploitation." A hush. Kaien turned, clearly not expecting the ambush, but Elira wasn't done.
Any platform used by minors should have full disclosure on data usage. We don't build futures by tracking fingerprints. We build them by trusting minds. The cameras caught everything. So did the board of directors watching live. Kaien held her gaze, long, quiet. Then he smiled. "Well," he said softly into the mic, "and here I thought I was the one wearing velvet gloves." The room exhaled. The tension, delicious and palpable, curled around them like smoke. Backstage, moments after, Kaien cornered her in the green room, the noise of the event muffled by heavy doors. "You just publicly discredited my platform," he said. "I clarified the ethical concerns," she replied. "You should have seen it coming." "This is not a debate club, Elira. You don't get points for takedowns here." "No," she said, removing her mic calmly, "but I don't lose them for honesty either." He passed for a second, then stopped. "You know, you're not what I expected." "Good," she replied. "Keep underestimating me. I dare you." Then she walked out, heels echoing like a battle cry on marble. That evening, her grandfather called. "That was reckless," he barked. "That was necessary," Elira replied, lounging in her silk robe. "We don't partner with secrets." "You're walking a tightrope, child. The board wants unity." "Then let Kaien do better. I'm not here to polish his image." The call ended without resolution, just as always. But Elira didn't need approval. She needed integrity. She turned on her TV, flipping through channels until she saw the replay of the press conference. Her photo beside Kaien, under the headline, "Velvet Fire meets Silicon Storm. Devienne Alaric duo spar at first event." Her phone buzzed. From unknown, now saved as KA, "You play dirty." She replied, "You play with bombs. Don't pout when they explode." A pause, then another message. "I brought you coffee today. You never drank it. It was cold. You were colder." She smirked. "Good night, Alaric." "Sweet dreams, Fire Queen." She deleted the nickname, then deleted the message. But something in her chest beat louder than it should have. They walked into the spotlight as enemies. But behind the flash of cameras and cutting words, a fire began to glow. Kaien teases, Elira strikes back, but beneath it all, something stirs, and the war has only just begun. Stay with us for Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Subscribe to The Velvet Story, where every rivalry hides a romance.